Y'all, this right here is another example of cult language. Cults love a language that is unique to them. It's called a distinguishable vernacular. And they especially love an acronym that you have to be, as we would say in the military, read into. You have to know what this means in order to know what they are saying. It means Trump derangement syndrome, by the way. And this is a term that MAGA has been given to use to ward off any critique, right? They have been given this term, Trump derangement syndrome, as a thought stopping cliche. So it's not just distinguishable vernacular. Cult language is also a thought stopping cliche. They don't have to listen to anything that I say because they can just go, Trump derangement. I'm listening to a book by Kristen Hanna right now. I'm not going to come up with the title, but it's the one about being in Alaska and these dudes who are all like living out there prepping, right, for literally what they say martial law or a pandemic when the government comes for you. And they keep saying this acronym T T SHTF when the shit hits the fan. And they say it when THSTF, when THSTF, when THSTF. And again, it's another good example of the cult language. I'm Daniela, scholar of cults, extreme groups, and extremely bad leadership, and I wrote a whole chapter on cult language, distinguishable vernacular, in my new cult tactics book, The Culting of America. And it's the longest chapter because it's so important. You can get signed copies here or listen to me read it to you anywhere you get your audiobooks. It is so important because it is also part of isolation, right? If you don't know what TDS means, you're not a part of the conversation that old bro was having here, right? So it isolates you from other people. This is one of the reasons that veterans have such a hard time when they get out of the military. Because not only is our experience of going to war something that's incredibly hard to describe to civilians, because it just is, because war is crazy, but we don't even have the language to describe it because we were speaking another language the whole time. And actually, I have written one of the only books that I know about the military. 150 pages of this book is about the military without using one single military acronym. I did the work to translate it into civilian language. In fact, one of my pet peeves about both cult books and military books, which this is about growing up in the cult of the Children of God and then going into the cult of the US Army, is when they use all this internal language. They just throw the vocabulary at you, and it's too much to handle. It takes you about 6 months to fully onboard into the Children of God or the United States Army. And during that time, part of what you're doing is adopting the language. And it becomes so natural that it's almost like you can't remember what it was like to not have it. Language is also the last thing we lose when we leave a cult. But if you're going to talk about your cult experience in any way, it's really, really important to be able to translate the cult language. And in this chapter on language in my new book, Culting of America, I talk about the different types of cult language. And two of them here, loaded language and thought stopping cliche, are what this TDS is, right? Loaded language, it means something to those in the group. It means a lot more to something in the group than it would to outside. If I said Trump derangement syndrome to someone outside, you can understand each of those individual words, but you don't understand the weight and the impact that it has to people inside. And in this case, it is also being used as a thought stopping cliche, right? This bro, once again, didn't have to listen to anything that I said, didn't have to consider me at all as a critic because he just said, well, Trump derangement syndrome. My hair, by the way, also works as a thought stopping cliche for MAGA. They cannot hear me because I have rainbow hair. And y'all, they pay for my hair with their hate comments. I've estimated that I make about $10,000 a year from people telling me how stupid my hair is. Pretty stupid hair, right? You can also listen to both of my books on Spotify Premium if you are a subscriber.